There are literally very few things in life that are as satisfying as making your own bread. I'm going to show you a pretty easy way that you can do it at home for just pennies, so keep watching. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If it's your first time here, welcome. I'm Kelsey. I make budgeting videos, mommy videos. If you haven't already, push that subscribe button down below and also that notification bell so you won't miss any of my videos that I upload. And if you enjoy these kinds of videos, also press that like button down below. It's going to help my channel and also let me know what kind of content you want to see here. Making your own bread at home not only tastes better, but it saves you so much money. Honestly, there's not a ton of work that goes into it, especially this simple recipe. Then why not give it a try? But enough about that, let's go ahead and get started with the bread. The ingredients we're going to be using today is vegetable oil, flour, an egg, honey, salt, active dry yeast, and water. First, you want to add your yeast. Add in your warm water. That's just going to activate our yeast. And now I'm just stirring it to incorporate it, but you don't want to get too vigorous and harm the yeast in any way. I'm also going to add a tablespoon of honey to help feed that yeast. If you don't have honey, you can do sugar as well. And I'm going to let this sit for about 5 minutes to let the yeast activate. You can tell that your yeast is activating when it gets a somewhat frothy look to it and it gets bubbly. That means your yeast is happy and good to go. Next, I'm going to add in our flour. Now I'm going to start with around 2 cups. You're just going to kind of go by how it looks as to how much flour you're going to need. So we're going to start with 2 cups and stir that in. I'm now going to add in my salt and my 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil. You can also use olive oil. Then I'm going to add in about another ½ cup of flour and incorporate that again. This is usually when I get my hands in there just because it works a lot better than a spoon. And what you're going to look for is a smooth dough that does not stick to your fingers. My fingers are still sticking to it, so I'm going to add in another ½ cup of flour and continue to knead your bread. I've got an appropriate amount of flour, so my fingers are not sticking when I'm pressing it. It's bouncing back when I do press it. So I'm going to continue to knead this bread for another couple of minutes. If you're not sure what kneading is, it's basically lifting up your dough and pressing down, just to make sure everything is nice and mixed together. Get that dough ready to rise. And once your dough is nice and smooth and rounded, you're going to leave it in your bowl approximately an hour and a half to 2 because you need this to double in size. And I'm going to cover this with a towel just so it won't dry out and to keep it insulated. If you have a warmer part of your kitchen, I recommend keeping it there because that will help it to rise a little quicker. Now that your dough has doubled in size, you're going to go ahead and punch it down a little bit, reform it, and let that sit for another 15 minutes. Okay, that 15 minutes is up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a little butter knife, cut this in half. You're going to want 2 equal parts because you're going to make 2 loaves out of this recipe. Go ahead and flour a surface. You're going to roll this out to a little over 1 foot. I'm just kind of grabbing and pulling to make sure it extends out. I'm going to put that on a baking sheet and then do the same thing with your second half. Now the flour just makes sure that the dough does not stick to your surface. So you don't need to flour a whole lot, just a little. Then you're also going to put that on a baking sheet. Put a few slits diagonally. But I'm going to wait for these to, again, double in size, so that may take 45 minutes to an hour. I'm going to spray these with a little bit of an olive oil spray just on top, just so they don't get dried out. It's been an hour and my loaves are about double how you want them to be, so I am going to make an egg wash to put on top. This is totally optional, but it's supposed to get the outside that really nice golden color. I just had a couple tablespoons of water with 1 egg. You baste that on top of your bread. I'm going to stick this in a preheated oven at 375 for 20 to 30 minutes. Again, you just want to look for that golden brown crust. I just took these guys out of the oven and they look so good and they're so crunchy and that golden brown crust. You check to make sure if it is done. You can roll these over and it should sound hollow. That means it's cooked all the way. So just let these cool and you're good to go. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoy this delicious bread, and I hope you all make it at home. Remember to subscribe down below and also press the notification bell if you haven't already, and consider liking this if you enjoyed the video. Leave a comment down below if you made it yourself, because I love to hear how it turned out. And until I see you next time, thanks guys.